Have you ever had a weird feeling that you got charged way more than you should have for a car repair? You went there for an oil change, and now your car has engine issues, brake issues, and problems you've never heard of before. Now you are wondering if you've been scammed or were real problems? Trust me, you're not alone. Some mechanics are sneaky and they can pull some pretty clever tricks to get more money out of you. But don't worry, I'm here to help you spot these scams from a mile away. Let's break down 11 common mechanic scams that you should avoid and save your wallet from getting robbed. Number 1, charging you for parts that haven't been replaced. You went to the mechanic for replacement of the fuel pump or brake pads, but after the services you notice the same issues as before. This is not a coincidence at all. In these cases, mechanics don't replace the parts and charge you for the services they never did. This is a common issue that most people experience. You pay for a new part like a fuel pump or brake pads, but when you drive away, you start to notice the same issues. Mechanics might try to trick you by claiming they replaced a part, but they don't do it. So, how can you avoid this scam? First, when you go to pick up your car, ask your mechanic to show you the old parts. If they can't show them to you or say they've already disposed of them, something's up. Second, mark your parts before bringing your car in, like writing your initials on your oil filter. This way you'll know if they've been replaced. Never fall for these mechanics' scams and confront them like a pro. Next up is brakes scam. Your mechanic says, you need new brakes, but in reality, you don't. A mechanic might tell you that your brakes are shot and need to be replaced. But here's the thing, your brakes could be perfectly fine and they're just trying to make a quick buck. They might show you brake pads that look worn out, but your car could still be safe to drive. Brake pads do wear down over time, but they don't always need replacing immediately. So to tell if your brakes need to be replaced, you should watch for noises like squealing or grinding. Feel the vibrations when braking, or notice your car pulling to one side. Also, pay attention to a spongy or hard brake pedal and a brake warning light. If your mechanic keeps pushing you to let your brakes be replaced, then you should ask him to let you see the brake pads and have the mechanic explain why they need replacing. If they're just slightly worn, it might be okay to wait a little longer. Look up the typical wear and tear for your car model online to see if the repair is needed. Getting rid of these scammers is not easy, but it is not impossible at all. Keep track of your car wear and tear, and you'll be all right. Number 3, inflating the cost of parts. Some mechanics mark up the price way more than they should, sometimes even double or triple what the part costs. Some mechanics will charge you for high-quality OEM, original equipment manufacturer parts, but they'll install cheaper alternatives. To spot the price scams, you should do some research online or call around to compare prices for parts. If they're charging you way more than you expected, ask where they're sourcing the parts from, because sometimes mechanics use cheap parts and the price goes down, which can confuse you about which to choose for your car repair. Ask for an invoice that shows the exact part and price. If it's more expensive than it should be, you can decide whether to accept the price or go elsewhere. Next scam that most people don't realize is number 4, double charging for labor. Some repairs require the mechanic to remove parts to replace others. If they're replacing spark plugs and ignition coils, they'll remove the coils to get to the plugs. A good mechanic will charge you for the job, but a bad one might try to charge you separately for each task, even though it's all part of the same process. How to spot it? You might see separate labor charges for things that are essentially part of the same repair. For example, if you're getting your spark plugs replaced, but they charge you for labor to remove the ignition coils as well, it's a double charge for the same job. To avoid this price scam, ask them for a breakdown of labor charges to make sure they're not charging you twice for the same work. If you're unsure, ask them to explain the process. Sometimes, labor charges are expensive if the task is complicated, so don't fall for this scam. While labor overcharge can be avoided easily, this next scam is so sneaky most don't even believe it exists. Number 5, upselling unnecessary services. You walk in for a simple oil change, and the mechanic suddenly tells you that your car needs a new air filter, fluid flushes, or even new tires. While some of these services might be important, but most of the time they're not urgent or necessary right now. If a mechanic starts offering you services that don't seem related to what you originally came in for, like recommending you replace your tires even though they're not worn out, it's probably an upsell. To avoid this scam, you should take some steps to dodge this scam. Research your car's maintenance schedule so you know when certain parts or services are due. If they suggest something that seems unnecessary, like topping off fluids or replacing parts you don't think need replacing, ask them to skip it. Keep an eye on these scams and save yourself from them. The next scam is the most common that happens all the time is number 6, not replacing parts, but charging for them. You might think you're getting a shiny new alternator, but when you pick up your car, it turns out they've just reused your old one and still charged you for a new part. If the problem isn't fixed after a replacement part is installed, it could be a sign that they didn't replace the part at all. Mechanics might install used or refurbished parts and charge you the price of new ones. Before authorizing any work, ask the mechanic to keep the old parts so you can inspect them and verify if they were replaced. Request a detailed written estimate outlining all parts and labor costs before any work is performed. Ask to see the new parts before they install them. Make sure you're getting the real deal. Number 7, using cheap or used parts. You paid for brand new, high-quality brakes, windows, wipers, and other parts of your car, but what you actually got were used or cheap aftermarket parts that could fail sooner than you expect. If you're paying for new, high-quality parts but they're installing something that doesn't look or perform as expected, this is calling for new problem. To avoid this scam, you should do these 2 things. Ask for a parts invoice. This will show you exactly what parts were used and whether they match the ones you were charged for. Ask if they used aftermarket parts, and ask for a discount because they're usually cheaper than OEM parts. Number 8, premium oil but cheap oil. You've been promised premium synthetic oil, but when you check, it's clear they've used a much cheaper no-name brand instead. Synthetic oil in cars offers superior engine protection and performance compared to conventional oil, especially in extreme temperatures and high-stress conditions, and can also extend the oil change intervals. You might not notice at first, but after your oil change, you could see performance issues with your car, like rougher engine sounds or lower gas mileage. It could be a sign you didn't get the oil you paid for. Oil change is really important for cars, so to avoid these problems, what you can do is ask the mechanic what brand of oil they're using. If it's not the one you were promised, ask for a discount or ask them to redo the job with the correct oil. Trust your car's performance. If something feels off after the oil change, it's worth questioning the mechanic. Number 9, charging for unnecessary expensive repairs. Some mechanics might tell you that you need major repairs, like a complete engine overhaul, when all your car needs is a simple fix, like changing a spark plug or replacing a fuse. Well, this is the trick to charge for fixes you don't even need. If a mechanic suggests an expensive, complex repair that doesn't seem to align with car symptoms, it's time to get skeptical. If your mechanic refused to show you the damaged part or don't explain the issue in detail, that means he's charging you for unnecessary repairs that are not required. To avoid this problem, you should consider getting a second opinion. Take your car to another mechanic and have them double-check the problem. Look up common issues for your car model online to see if what they're suggesting is a common, expensive fix or something much cheaper. Number 10, misdiagnosing the problem. This scam happens when a mechanic diagnoses a simple problem as something more serious. For example, they might tell you that you need a full engine rebuild, but really you just need to replace some minor parts like plugs, etc. The mechanic insists that the problem is serious when it's actually something that could be fixed with a much cheaper repair. To avoid this scam, you should do these things. Ask for a detailed breakdown of the diagnosis. If they suggest something expensive, ask why that's the only solution. Get a second opinion from other mechanics or professionals before agreeing to a pricey repair. Ask for the old parts back if a mechanic replaces a part. Request to see the old one. A dishonest mechanic may charge for a new part without actually replacing anything. Number 11, warranty claims that aren't covered. Sometimes a mechanic might tell you that a repair is covered by a warranty when it's not. Or they might claim a part is under warranty, but when you check, it's not. If the mechanic mentions that something is covered under warranty, but it doesn't feel right, you should double check. What you need to do is know your car's warranty, check the terms yourself so you're not caught off guard, ask for documentation of any warranty claims, call the warranty provider to verify. If something doesn't feel right, don't hesitate to ask questions, get a second opinion, or walk away. Your car and your hard-earned money are too important to let anyone take advantage of you. Stay smart, stay informed, and drive safe.